Hey folks, this is Vint with Ads Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to play a little bit of Maniac Mansion. This is a game that I have for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and this is probably one of the first games that introduced me to the point-and-click adventure game genre, besides, say, King's Quest. So, in Maniac Mansion, Dave is the primary character. He's trying to rescue his girlfriend, Sandy, from this mansion, and he can bring up to two other people to do it. And depending on who he brings with him will determine how the game ends. Each of these kids has a different skill set. For example, Razor and Sid here, who have different soundtracks, but I have the music turned down, are musically inclined, and you can get past a certain part in the game if you use music to your advantage. I don't want to spoil any of the puzzles. I know this is a very old game, but who knows? Maybe you'll play it. I do think there's a version on Steam that you can buy. Bernard is kind of like the nerdy one. Again, I don't want to spoil anything, but you can use his nerdiness to fix stuff and get past certain parts. Wendy, I think, is a journalist. Yep. Or novelist. So you can use that to your advantage. This Jeff character, I don't think I ever won the game as him. It's possible that I have. I just don't remember how I did. And then Michael is a ace photographer for the college newspaper. So you'll be able to use these skill sets to your advantage. I'm just going to go ahead and choose Bernard and say Razor for the sake of this gameplay. I'm not going to play the entire game. It's going to take about a half an hour to an hour to do. But you can see here, you've got Dave. I like how the mouths just blah, 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 blah. But anyway, I'm just going to skip this, the dialogue, and get right to the game. So this is a point and click. No keyboard needed. You're just going to point your mouse cursor to where you want to go with your D-pad and try and figure things out. Like, you can ring the doorbell, someone will come running. I've played this a gazillion times in my youth, so I'm kind of familiar with the puzzles. So, if I'm doing things and you're probably wondering, well, how does he know to do that? Well, it's because I'm drawing from years of experience. Granted, it's been a while, though. Use keys in door. There we go. So, yeah, Dave's girlfriend is somewhere in the house, and I have to try and find them. Yeah, let's go ahead and go this way, I suppose. Open cabinet door. There's lots of cool things. Like, for example, there's a key up there. How do I get that key that's on top of the glass chandelier? Again, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a way to do it. And it involves an item in this room that I kind of glazed over. So, like, different little things like that. And sometimes you'll come across completely dark rooms and, let's see, turn on. There's a lamp in here. Oh, there it is. Staircase is out of order, if I remember correctly, and there's a loose panel somewhere over here. Yeah. Get cassette tape. Alright, and not all of these items are going to be used in this playthrough. Again, it depends on what kids you pick. Like, the cassette tape more than likely isn't going to be useful to you. Well, actually, you know what? I take that back. I think it is going to be useful no matter what. And again, I don't want to spoil the story, but it may involve this room. Maybe. I mean, there is a cassette player right here. Now, how we would use the cassette tape and the cassette player to our advantage to get something out of this room is, you know, something I don't want to spoil. But you can do it. There's a set of radio tubes that you can get out of that radio back there. Again, I think that's a Bernard thing. There's a kitchen beyond that door. There may or may not be someone waiting for me there, if memory serves. Getting caught in this game, they'll throw you into a dungeon. And there is a way out, but it involves the use of two kids, so you kind of have to use teamwork to do it. And one has to remain behind, so you kind of have to switch between kids. Speaking of which, there is a new kid button. If I click on that, then say click on Bernard, I can now switch to him. And I like that each of them have their own little soundtracks. Okay, we'll open that door. Alright, I think we need the paint remover, if I remember correctly. Now, here's the thing, though. If I remember correctly, there is a creature coming up that Bernard is scared to death of. It's just in his nature to be scared of creatures. So I have to get past a certain part without his help. So, like, if I continue on, if I go up these stairs, there's the green tentacle waiting for me. And he will not deal with that very well. Yeah. So I need another character to confront the green tentacle with the item that I need to get past him. So yeah, little things like that take some getting used to. And I love that this game has so many different characters that you can play. And I don't want to say that every playthrough is going to be different. Because for the most part, you're going to be doing the same thing. It's just, you're going to take a slightly different path to beat the game. Again, in Bernard's playthrough, you can use electronics to fix, I think, a phone to help you out. Again, I don't want to spoil how, but you can use a phone. Whereas with Razor or Sid, you can use your magician, or not magician, your musician, I should say, powers to persuade a certain helper to help you get past the end part. Again, I'm being overly cryptic here. I'm just trying not to spoil anything. But you get the idea. This game will probably make you bang your head against the wall if you're not using a guide. It's just such as it is with the times. There are a couple of game breakers in this game where if you do something, you will not be able to progress in the game. And you won't know it because the game doesn't tell you. One of those things happens to be the paint remover that was in the room that... the paint remover that I have in my inventory right now, if I use it on something other than what I'm supposed to, there's a room that I won't be able to access, and that's game over. So, and I won't know it. You know what I mean? So there's a couple of mean parts in this game where it'll be like, it won't tell you that you failed. But, yeah. So, but a lot of older point-and-click adventures like this did that. Let's go to New Kid. So who are the people in this house, I suppose? I should get into that. It's just, there's, I think, Dr. Fred, I think his name was. He's the one that captured Sandy, Dave's girlfriend. There's Edna, who I think is the wife of Dr. Fred. Don't quote me on it. Then there's Ed. Ed, I think, is a kid with a hamster in his room. And this game actually lets you put the hamster in the microwave. As a kid, I did that, and I am ashamed now as an adult, but you can do it. If you show the exploding hamster to Ed, he will kill you outright. So yeah, there's little things like little Easter... Oh, Edna is gone. Okay, good. Yeah, I was expecting Edna to be here. If you enter this room too soon, she will capture you. You can possibly escape out of the room if you're quick, but it's difficult to do it just because of the way everything... Uh-oh. Yeah, so this is just a quick cutscene. I think it's Dr. Fred, or whatever his name is. It's one of those satirical games where it's like, it doesn't take itself seriously, but it's a lot of fun to play. It's very cartoony. None of the characters are believable. But it's still fun. It's still a fun game. Now, this particular game was on a number of systems. NES. It was on the PC as well, but I never played that version. The Maniac Mansion for the Nintendo here is the only version I've ever played. How it differs, I don't think it's going to differ a whole much between the different versions. I'm sure the graphics might be a tad different. Let's push that. I think that opens that door. Yeah, if I go to New Kid... And if I try to play the piano as Dave right now, or Bernard, it's not going to go very well. Where if I play as, I think it's Sid, or possibly her, and I use the cassette recorder, there's a possibility I can use the music that I saved on that to help me out later on. Again, overly cryptic for a reason. There's a light switch. There it is. So the dungeon is beyond this door. It's locked, of course. There's a way out of the dungeon. Like I said, with 2 kids in the dungeon. One helps the other one escape, but again, I don't want to spoil that. I know, what's up with that? I know, it's a, 20-year-old game at this point. Spoilers on a 20-year-old game. But hey, you never know, you might want to pick this up for yourself, because you can still buy it and play it. Whether or not you'd want to is a different story. Alright, so I think you guys get the idea. Like I said, I'm not going to play this entire game. I've only covered like 5% of it, and there's a lot more to go. But it's quite fun. I would go check it out if you like point-and-click adventure games. Just be wary that the version that I'm playing on Nintendo is kind of rough in terms of controls, because you have to use a cursor to interact with things. And sometimes it's just not fast enough for my liking, but it is what it is. If you guys haven't already subscribed to me on Twitch and YouTube, that way you can stay up to date with any new content I'm going to publish. This is Vince, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.